So now you're in Florida, and you've sent some pictures, a few at least, and I had a computer that's kind of bust on its last legs because I think there were some other garden photos you had sent before, but I can't get to them. But you've got
it's the wrong time of year for garden photos. So everything's just starting off.
That's true. So, but you've got quite the garden when it's going there,
well,
and you fish and
I try. The last year's hurricane really kind of set us back quite a bit because it destroyed our greenhouse, and it had a lot of trees growing, which are food-bearing trees. They all got taken out.
What was the name of that hurricane? I forgot.
I can't remember.
Oh, that's okay.
I know it was windy.
It was. Yeah. How far were you from where it came down?
It kind of went pretty close over us. Mm-hmm. We lost a few bits of the house, but nothing too serious. But
you said that you lost a bit of your roof, did you not?
Yeah. Well, I mean, little bits, not siding and stuff like that, off the eaves and stuff like that. But this house is 101 years old. It's been through a few, so it stood up to it okay.
I think one of the things that really struck me a couple of years ago in the height of COVID is you said, okay, this is it, right? Everything that we've been preparing for, that we knew was coming, it's being delivered in this package of this scamdemic. And you said at that point, you just wanted to make sure that your gardening skills and last year you said you were teaching yourself canning, right?
Yeah.
And fishing, and so you've dedicated the last several years to really learning some good.
Yeah, well, I had a fairly decent garden when I lived in Ireland, because in Ireland you can basically grow anything. Mm-hmm. If you've got a polytunnel, you can grow the tomatoes and all that kind of stuff as well. And I was doing all that. I'd nearly a quarter of an acre all planted out there. I was giving food away to families all over the place. So I had too much of it. Mm-hmm. But then you come to Florida and all you've got sand.
Yes.
and lots of bugs.
I know my mom was born and raised in Florida, so I'm aware of how inhospitable. But my granddad, he had an acre in his modest little home, and he and one of my uncles, they could grow anything, because once you figure out how to enrich the sand, or basically replace it with real dirt. Well,
as I say, I started off with I was buying dirt, believe it or not, and I thought, well, I'd never envisaged myself buying soil,
right?
And it wasn't even good soil; it was sand and soil kind of mixed up. I thought everybody's a con man. Everybody's a con man, And I'm basically the garden now, we have virtually no grass. It's been so dry for weeks and weeks and weeks. And the price of water is extortionate here, so it's hard to actually get water and things. I've got a watering system set up, and I'm going to move things about just now to try and use less water to put more stuff in the same place. But I've got these trees called pigeon peas. They're great. They grow like crazy.
I love pigeon peas. That's one of the islands, I can't remember which, or there's maybe several of them are kind of famous for that as their cuisine. It's delicious.
Pigeon peas, yeah. I've got maybe 6 or 7 trees growing just now. I'm going to plant some more.
Neat.
Because I've just built a chicken coop as well.
Ah, great.
But I've still got the roof to go on, but it's an 8 by 10. It's a big thing.
Oh, have you gotten the chickens yet?
No, I've not got a roof on it yet.
Okay.
I don't have the roof on, so
can't get the chickens.
I've got a few things to do to it. But that's the plan. But apparently pigeon peas are very good for chickens, so that's good as well. So anyway, I've got stuff growing just now. I've got broccoli started. I've got spinach, tomatoes, peppers. What else? I've got tree spinach.
Oh, I've never heard of such.
It's got another name, but I can't remember it. It's tree spinach anyway, but you got to boil it for 20 minutes because it's got cyanide or something in it. But so I tell you, I said to Paula, don't worry. It says if somebody comes in this house and tries to mug us, and we've got to feed them, I've got some lovely spinach in the garden you can have, and we'll just do it that way. We don't have to shoot them. But what else have I got? I'm looking out the window here. I've got stuff grown. Brussels sprouts, cabbages, cauliflowers.
I
I've
love
got to get all that
yeah.
stuff done before it gets too hot, but it's been hot already, so it's kind of hard. But yeah, chickens and food in the garden and fish.
Yeah.
Fishing is good round here. I've only been doing it for a year, but
you sent the other day you sent me an interesting photo of your fishing line.
The kayak.
Well, the kayak, but you had the pole in front of it, and you had
the 2 fish.
Yeah, you caught 2 fish on one line.
Yeah,
that's
unusual, but yeah. Unfortunately, none of them were big enough to keep.
Oh, really? Well, one of them looked pretty good size, but you know.
Those type, they've got to be 10 inches long, or the fisheries people will shoot you or something. Yeah. Taser you.
Well, of course they will, because every agency in this country has been given, major weaponry. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, well, again, it's you talk about going through the COVID era. The COVID era here, to me, it didn't change anything I did. I didn't do any of what they said. Mm-hmm. I'd go up to the first time they started it in Walmart. I went up to Walmart, and they had the butchest lady they could find to stand at the door with her arms behind her back. She must have been ex-military or something. And she's standing with her arms behind her back saying, you're not going to get in without a mask, sir. I says, watch me. I just kept walking, and there's another guy at the door. I said, have you got a mask, sir? I said, no. And just kept walking, and nobody bothered me. Mm-hmm. And people saw me doing this, and they had the arrows in the floor to make you walk in one direction, and all this. I'd deliberately walk the wrong way, and people would be looking at me with their masks on, their scared eyes, and all this kind of thing, and I'd be scuffing the arrows to get them off the ground, ruining them. And people would say, you're walking the wrong way. I says, does the virus know that? Does the virus know that? And they kind of look at you as if you're mad. Oh,
yeah.
Dude, what are you doing? You're like, what are you doing walking one way in the supermarket? It's just crazy.
I tell you,
the swabbing the hand carts and everything.
Oh, yeah. There were a couple of things that happened to me in Canada. That what you're talking about, the arrows and everything. You mean, those little pads they put down that show the feet where you're supposed to stand?
Yeah, right down.
I was at the grocery store, and I didn't even notice it. I was probably 4 feet behind the woman ahead of me, just as I would normally be. And the cashier just screamed at me, get back, get back. And I said, what? And she goes, you've got to stand on those feet. And I'm, it was kind of terrifying. And then there was another building that I walked into. You just have these kind of instinctive reactions. I wasn't even, trying to be a rebel or whatever, but there was a security guard. He towered over me. And I had to go through the metal detector, but that was just normal at that building. And as I was about to step through there, he put one of those thermometer guns up to my head. And I said, get that away from me. And he said, I have to take your temperature. And I said, no, you don't. I have a thermometer in my purse. I've just taken my temperature. It's normal. And I'm not having a gun put to my head.
A social creature, you need to feel you're part of a pack. By blending in with the flock, you feel protected from attack. Copy what others do, energy saving, thinking hack. You prefer to defer to an authority figure, we make use of that. You used to say never to me, never again, but now you're no more free than a battery hen. You're a born jailbird, and when we say the word, you're in the clink again. If you're trained to wear a muzzle when we allow you out of your pen, then we can tell you it's no longer required, but you'll still put it on again. Your own life's the thing you're helping to destroy. Pulling your strings is a thing we enjoy. Such a good girl, good boy. You want to be a pet, but you're more of a toy. Human obedience training. Human obedience training. Mask on! Human obedience training. Mask on! Traffic lights! Human obedience training. Stand on that spot!
Well, we actually went down to the City Commission office down here during that time to see what they were talking about, the masks and everything, and I stood up and spoke. And I had to speak really, really slow so they could understand me. But this was right at the start of it. I says, listen, I says, Tony Fauci should be in prison, Bill Gates should be in prison, and if you're listening to these people, you should be in prison. And they were kind of looking at me like, who's this guy? I said, I ain't taking this rubbish. And when we went in, it was again the gun to the head thing. And I said to the lady outside, I says, it's 98 degrees outside. Where I'm standing, it's 98 degrees. Do you think you're going to get a correct reading of that thing on my forehead? Really? I says, just go away. Don't even try. You know, it's just the mindless stupidity of people.
Yeah. Well,
actually, I was going to send you a song because there's a guy in the UK. Mm-hmm. He's not a band, but he names it like it's a band. It's called Angry North and Boris's Bitches, after Boris Johnson. And he's got one of his tracks. It's called Human Obedience Training. I was going to send you that one because that's
I love that.
What
yeah,
I think it is.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a kind of punky kind of song, but that's the words. He's very good with his words.
Good.
And you take it, and you take it, and you take it, and slap, and slap, and stroke, and you take it, and slap, and slap, and stroke. You take it. Slap, flatten the curve, save granny, protect the vulnerable, save the NHS, to take it. Social distancing, slap, touch and contain the virus, slap, dangerous, self-isolate, exercise, you take it. Essential travel, bump and slap, 6, massive and strong, lie down, you take it. Jabbed, just 2 jabs for you, slap for your kids too, strong, on your front, you take it. Slap, on your front, slap, wild, you take it. Slap, slap, eyes forward. Take it! Slap, slap, stroke. Don't look up, you take it! Slap, stroke. It's just so good. And promises, a bit of carrot, much more stick. We keep on tightening your collar, which is really a noose. Sometimes we loosen it a bit, easing it back a little. Now and again, you're so grateful when we do that. Little less pain feels like pleasure to you, helps you forget about getting your old life back. We're just so good at this shit, we know what makes you tick. Being honest, there isn't much to it. We know your biases and your heuristics. We break you with your own key characteristics. We use standard tactics and you do self-harming tricks. You jump through hoops without limits, tiny crumbs from old biscuits. You think you'll get a rosette or a gold star, but you're mistaken on that. You're not a prize chihuahua, you're just a lab rat. Yeah! Human obedience training. Human obedience training. Telling you it's all for your own good. Obedience training. You're looking straight in your puppy dog eyes, and we see glimmers of hope, but we'll enjoy watching as each one dies.
I mean, again, going back to the gun at the head, I probably mentioned this to Alan, I think, on one of the broadcasts, probably a couple of times. Every time I used to leave the UK after I got involved in activism, there was 13 times out of 14 I was stopped at the airport.
Really?
And my bag checked and all this kind of stuff. And the only time I wasn't stopped, the person I was with was stopped.
Uh-huh.
And I went through one time, and this guy, he was obviously gay. Obviously gay. And I've nothing against gay people, but I mean, if somebody's going to put their hands on me, I want to know what their sexual orientation is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I said to the guy, I said, hold on a minute, before you start, I said, what's your sexual orientation? He said, that's none of your business. I says, well, it is, actually. I says, you're going to lay your hands on me. You think you put your hands anywhere near my crotch, and you're a homosexual? I don't think so. Oh, I'll get my supervisor. I says, well, go on. So the supervisor comes over. And of course, oh, do you want to go on the flight or not? All this kind of stuff. I said, well, okay, look, see that lady over there? She can come and search me. I've no problem with that. I said, oh, women aren't allowed to do that, to males. I says, but a homosexual's allowed to do it to a man. Are you kidding me?
Right.
And he said, the lady's less likely to get turned on than this guy is. I says, you're no better than Jimmy Savile. And they went ballistic.
Oh.
They went absolutely ballistic. And then this other supervisor came over, this obviously gay guy. That's why he's got the job, because he enjoys it too much. And he says, this guy just called me Jimmy Savile. I says, I never called you Jimmy Savile. I says, you're behaving just like him. That's what I said.
Ah.
You know. And eventually I got somebody else to do their hand job on me. And that was that. But 13 times out of 14 I was stopped leaving the UK. And they said it was a coincidence.
Yeah, right. Because there is such a thing as coincidence.
Yeah.
Well, Neil, you are one Scotsman who is not apathetic.
No, I've never been that way. But I just, how can I put it? I'd be ashamed of myself if I was apathetic. You know, people say you're proud to be Scot, or you're proud to be this. I don't really see it like that either. I mean, you can be proud in an achievement, right? That's why I don't get all this gay pride stuff. It's not an achievement. You know, you were born that way or made that way. Or trans pride. Well, what's to be proud of? What have you achieved? You cut off your penis? I mean, what an achievement. Yeah. Alan always used to say that words are very important, and you got to understand the meaning of words. If you're proud of something, it's because you've done something you're proud of.
Yes, yeah. I know that's the one that always drove Alan just crazy when people use the word homophobic or whatever phobic. He said, I'm not afraid.
Yeah, exactly. I've said that to him as well. He says, you call me a homophobe. Says, I've not got an irrational feel of homosexuals. At all.
I just don't want them touching me there.
Yeah, I just don't want me groping me at the airport. If I wanted them to do that, they'd be doing it in my house, you know. It's this, people just cower down to anything. The belief in authority, I guess. Yeah. That's it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. See, this is what so much of the agenda has rolled in. It is a done deal, and it's just going to keep marching ahead. And I think I keep saying this, people get tired of hearing it, but part of the idea behind doing these talks is that it feels to me that we have to concentrate on humanity, our real humanness and our stories, and connecting in that way, rather than just constantly reacting. What are they doing to us? You know, who died suddenly last week? It's just because that part of it is over. We're rolling into it. But for us as individuals, we can still grow food and make music, and we can still say, no, you're not touching me there. You're not putting that to my head. You're not, no.
Yeah. Well, it's, again, I lost my train of thought. I was listening to you. What was I going to say? One of your earlier talks, the guy was talking about Facebook, how it's, it causes so much strife, and it's one of the major causes of divorces and all this kind of thing. And how people have been programmed, indoctrinated, and the people putting the photographs of their children on Facebook, and the children only find out years later that their baby photograph of them sitting on the potty naked has been all over the internet and stuff like that, and possibly some pervert's been looking at it. And it got me thinking that it really starts from when you're a baby, because your parents indoctrinate you because they've been told they've got to do this to you for you to be safe as a baby. They've got to vaccinate you. They've got to do this. They've got to take you for your checkups. They've got to do this. And you as a baby have no say in it, Matt. Right. You have no say in the matter whatsoever. And then you grow up and you're in this matrix, I guess, whereby your parents have done all this to you, for better or for worse. I mean, it could be worse. It could be, as you well know, we have a severely autistic boy here who is a handful. But the parents will never accept any damage that happens. Right. To their child, whether it's through vaccination or whatever other thing they've made them do, whether it's they've sent them to a certain school, or they've made them take certain subjects at school which they didn't want to take, which happened in my case, which I deliberately failed them because I wasn't going to do them. That was it. But then the child grows up and they really haven't had a chance to think of anything for themselves because their parents have kind of forced it all upon them, whether they're good parents or bad parents. I mean, they've brought them up in a certain way, but it's all conformity. In general. I mean, obviously there are people who homeschool and all the rest of it, but in general it's all about conformity from birth.
Always remember, your government loves you. They want your children crying shame, education and media wash their brain. When you get old, heard it said you're a useless eater and they want you dead. Mass surveillance, population control. They want CCTV in every home. They want your Buddha, they want your God, they want your science to support their cause. They're everywhere, they're breaking through.
And anyone who stands up against it is the one, like when you're speaking out or at the Walmart or at the, saying, no, this, Bill Gates, Fauci, this is how we deal with them. They look at you literally like you're a terrorist or you're a Martian. It is alien to them for someone to stand up for themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I got some T-shirts printed. One of them says, COVID-19 and global warming, 2 huge hoaxes, 1 massive agenda. And I walk around Walmart and that with these things on, and I've got other ones that say other things. I've got the one about the masks, the tests not done, you're the guinea pigs, da-da-da-da-da. And I've not had one single person stop me and disagree with me, but I've had many, many who agree. Isn't that interesting? You'd think that the ones that disagree would be the most vocal.
Well,
because they picked on you when you were walking the wrong way in the supermarket. But not now.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because the one who picked on me in the supermarket was the cashier. The woman that I was 4 feet from didn't say anything. The cashier's got a little bit of power. A little bit of power. All it takes is, I'm the cashier.
Yeah, but, again, the cashier, they used to have the perspex, now they don't have the perspex anymore. And I get to the checkout and I'm using a debit card. And it says, you realise that every single person who's come through here has touched this screen here, and I've never seen you wash it at all. So I guess they've all got COVID now.
Neil, you're trying to use logic on these people.
Oh, I know. It's a bizarre concept. But just while we're on that subject of COVID, the one good thing I can say that's come out for me is it made me start to look at the whole virus argument in the first place. And really, I've come to the conclusion that the whole virus theory is bogus. That's just my own opinion, but the more you look at it, the more you see that there's more validity in terrain theory than there is in germ theory.
Well,
they're both theories.
And this is a rabbit hole that I can't go down, but I will say this. Alan had a friend who is a biochemist, and I speak with him sometimes and email with him. And when I started seeing the terrain theory being promoted, I asked him about viruses and so forth, and he sent me a very interesting breakdown on basically what you see when you're trying to study a virus under a magnifying when you're trying to magnify the virus to see what it is, or when you're trying to magnify it with something like a PCR test. What I know, the terrain theory for me leaves me cold because it seems to go in this circular argument back to you've just got to boost your own immune system, and there is no illness except that comes from within your own body and your immune system being lowered. But what I know is real is bioweaponry.
Oh yeah. I mean,
so
I've no problem with that.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of the people who have really embraced terrain theory in a big way, it's like there literally are no viruses. There are no bacteria. There is nothing except how your body is breaking down because your immune system. And
I think that's the extreme terrain theory type stuff. But,
yeah.
Of course, there are bacteria. We can see them.
Yes.
I mean, you can magnify and see them. But
you can see a virus. It just isn't natural.
But it's not what they say it is.
It is not what they say it is, and it's what you're looking at is obviously man-made. It's a machine. Yeah. It's like
well, I mean, when they say that they can't find the coronavirus, but they can find the spike protein that connects to it. When it's 75 times smaller or something like that.
Yeah.
And you just go, well, hold on a minute, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was just a little side issue. It just made me look at something different than what I'd looked at before.
Well, I mean, I think we have to. My other hesitation for jumping into those areas is simply this. If it's being put out there as a kind of thesis antithesis, then I know that whichever side I choose, I'm going to end up in the synthesis. So
there's something in between. There's something in between there. Somewhere.
Yeah. So it's a thinking for yourself, I think, and
Yeah. I mean, my whole attitude throughout my life has been, I'm not going to get sick. I just convinced myself I'm not going to get sick. And I never have been.
Well, that's...
maybe I'm just lucky. But the only time I've ever been at a doctor is sport injuries.
Uh-huh.
That's it. Broken fingers, broken toes, elbows, that kind of thing. All soccer. All soccer. And, when I came here, actually, I had to go to the Scottish Health Board and request a letter from them because my medical records have been destroyed because I hadn't been at the doctors for over 25 years. I don't know how they can get away with destroying your medical records, regardless of how long it has been they haven't been at the doctors. But I don't think they do destroy them anyway. They probably just digitalize them and put them somewhere.
Yeah, the cloud.
Yeah, the cloud. Yeah. We need a few clouds here.
We do. You and I have talked about the idea. You kind of went silent on the writing for a while and didn't really do any radio. And you were busy gardening and canning and fishing and everything. But we've talked about doing something on a regular basis, and
yes.
I think we have actually committed to that. So.
Yep. I wrote a little thing yesterday.
Oh, great.
It's funny. People think you can just, you can just sit down after a few months and write something. You have to do it all the time. You have to. It's like anything else. You got to practice.
Yeah.
It's very hard because every year I do a seasonal job from November to January, and that takes me out of the picture completely. I've no time to do anything else.
Right.
And then so I'm 3 months out of it, and I'm like, I've got to get back into this now. And then it's the garden needs done, and then it's it's hard. It's the same. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's the same. I hear people in the so-called truth movement say, you've just got to get out of the city. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. Well, that's nonsense. It's totally unfeasible for 99.9% of the people.
That's right.
It's just, like ourselves, we've got a severely autistic child here. There's no way we can just abandon the city and go and live in the countryside because he needs the services that, the few services he does get, he needs them.
Uh-huh.
And access to medication that he is on. We have to be somewhere we can get it,
right.
And but yeah, that kind of annoys me when people say, you just got to, start using crypto. I mean, are these people stupid? I mean, do they think that the power's not going to go off, the electricity? We're building our own internet. I say, really?
Yeah.
And whose infrastructure are you using?
Yeah. And, I did the crypto trip a few years ago because, Alan was saying, well, everyone is going that direction and a lot of people want to send cryptocurrency. And even if you don't believe in it as a model, let's look into it. Well, lo and behold, wouldn't you know that all crypto roads lead to the World Economic Forum?
Oh, yeah.
It's their baby.
Yeah. I even see when I still watch soccer because I played soccer for 40 years of my life, so I still watch it. I still enjoy watching it. And they're on the billboards, those billboards that go around the grounds, the advertising billboards, the neon things. They're all advertising cryptocurrency. And you think, do these people really think they're independent? Do they really believe that? The internet goes down. We've got our own internet. Really? What's going to run that? oh, well, we're going to produce our own electricity. Says, and whose servers are you using? And where have you got satellites? You know, what you're in a dream world.
Yeah, well, it's going to be bicycle generated.
yeah. Well, it's like Soylent Green.
Yeah.
But it's the same with gold and silver. It's the same with gold and silver. I bought some a while ago and I cashed it in when the price went up. Maybe I should have kept a hold of it, but I needed the money at the time. But they say, well, when it all goes wrong, you can always barter with gold and silver. I say, I'll tell you what's going to happen. I says, you want to buy a loaf of bread the last year? What have you got? And you say, oh, I've got a quarter ounce of gold. I say, that'll do. And you spent $300 or $400 on that quarter ounce of gold, and you got a loaf of bread for it.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, that's what's going to happen. And I said, your gold won't last very long.
No, Alan always said that people would be bartering with toilet paper, and I think after COVID we know that's true.
Oh, yeah. yeah. That was something else I brought up in Walmart. They're all there. Every cart had some toilet paper in it, you know, and you think, and they were rationing it. They were rationing toilet paper. And you go, what is wrong with these people? I said, yes, and the price was going through the roof. It was like $20 for 20 rolls or something. I don't know what it was. I wasn't buying it. I said, well, I always buy in bulk anyway. So I'd well in advance of this stuff, I had stuff stored anyway. So I said to him, has nobody heard of washcloths?
That's right. I was just, I was just thinking, you know, these youngsters don't realize that some of us actually wore cloth diapers when we were babies. You know, it's like.
Yeah, well, my first house when my dad was a single parent, we lived in a tenement, an old tenement in Edinburgh. We had an outside toilet. That was in the mid to late 60s.
Yeah, no.
No. So it's not that long ago.
No, and especially for Americans we've really had a comfy life here for generations. So.
Yeah, well, we were in Edinburgh in the winter. It was it could be minus 20, and you had to go downstairs outside the toilet, a shared toilet for the whole tenement. No telling what state it was in. I was young. I was probably lucky enough not to remember.
I don't know. Those trauma wounds are deep, Neil.
Yeah. I've probably willfully forgotten it.
Well, listen, I think we should save room. You should send me some music, and then I'll plug in little bits, and we are going to start doing something, maybe not in the real history format. I'm kind of hoping that we do it as a Reality Bytes radio.
Yeah, I kind of think I need to get back into doing that kind of thing anyway.
So that's my nudge.
Yeah, that's a nudge. Oh, you're part of the nudge unit.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's I don't know if missing it's the right word, but I think I should be doing something. That's
you've got a great voice, you've got a great speaking voice and a great writing voice, and be sure to send me the link of the article that you just wrote yesterday, and we'll attach that to this too.
It's basically the guy I was telling you about before, Angry North. He did his last song was called 15-Minute Cities, and it's just a little.
Oh, great.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how long you want to go on, but just another little anecdotal story. There's a little bar here in town that takes cash only. And they closed down when COVID hit. They were forced to close down. And then when they reopened, there was still some of them were refusing to open, and they opened. So I thought, right, we'll go. We'd never been there before. And main policy, right, they're opening, so we'll go down and support them. Because they've opened against the wishes of the local council.
Right.
So we went down there. So over time, it's mainly men that go there, so Paula wasn't really that bothered about going. So maybe every second or third Saturday I'll go down there. And I kind of know the guys there now and talk to them. And 3 years ago, I remember showing the owner, right, the Great Reset book. Right, the cover of it, anyway. I didn't have the actual book with me, but I showed the cover. I says, do you know what it's all about? I says, it's all about this. It's all about this. I says, and this involves no cash, social credit system, all that kind of thing. I says, half your customers won't be allowed to buy drink because they've got health conditions. And they won't have any cash anyway. So these people are going to put you out of business. Because you're a cash business and you need to be a cash business. And I know how that works because I had a cash business. And they just looked at me with glassy eyes. But the more time's gone on, I also told them they wouldn't have a car, because I thought one way to get through to American men is to tell them they're going to lose their car, right? That's it's better than sex for lots of them. I see how much money they spend on them. Jeez, yeah. It's atrocious. But yeah, I said, you're going to lose your car, No. And I said the electric cars are just a scam. And again, I think the electric cars are just be set up to fail.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. It's just it's pie in the sky to keep people occupied for a brief little while.
Yeah. But they're highly dangerous. But,
yeah.
That's another story.
Oh, you mean you don't like to drive something that might just spontaneously combust? Come on, where's your sense of adventure?
Yeah. Well, as long as I can get out of it and it doesn't lock me in. Yeah. But, I'd say, well, they're gonna, you have no car, but you won't need one because you'll be living in a 15-minute city.
That's it.
And they're going, what are you talking about? And just this week, they announced some place in Colorado, I think it was going. I don't know how. It might have been an old video. They said it was going to be the first 15-minute city, but just earlier this week, Fort Myers in Florida has just announced they're going to be a 15-minute city.
Really?
And I showed that to the guy down there. I says, look at that. There's your 15-minute city. I told you it was coming. I told you it was coming. And they go, you're a right-wing extremist conspiracy theorist. Okay.
Well, Neil.
You know what they say about the far right? We've been right so far.
Yeah, that's right. I read something. I think that it was in England. I read it just the other day, but didn't really retain it wholly. But it was some MP who was receiving death threats, and he just for proposing a 15-minute city. And he said, we were just talking about it. We didn't vote on it. We didn't pass any kind of bill. There's no legislation, but he's getting death threats. And I'm thinking,
well, I mean, I doubt he's getting death threats either. I think that's just more of the right-wing extremist kind of propaganda.
Yeah.
I don't think any of these guys get death threats. I think it's just people are too apathetic. I mean, anybody in their right mind who truly believes in what they're doing, like yourself, like I try to do, like other people I know try to do, just try to get information out. Nobody would do that.
Yeah.
Nobody who knew what a 15-minute city was and understood what was behind it would do that.
No.
So I think that's, again, it's propaganda. It's more of the terrorist threat kind
exactly. Of thing. It just ties into the picture that they like to paint, that anyone who is against their plans is obviously insane.
Yeah.
So,
but to say there's no legislation in place, there's our town here. I'm saying to Paula, we need to get back down there again to the City Commission and start seeing what they're up to, because they've got a plan called Envision. Lake Wales, that's where I live. Lake Wales doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Envision, and you look it up, and it's all about 15-minute cities without actually saying it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're pedestrianising loads of areas downtown in this multi-million-dollar program, and nobody goes downtown. It's like a ghost town. They've got a liquor store down there, and that does very well. But why wouldn't it?
Yeah, well.
So. That's what's it's happening in every small town. They spent 3 years upgrading US 27 and SR 60, which crosses where we live. Mm-hmm. 3 years they spent doing that, and I can't see any reason for it. There's no factories getting built. There's no hospitals getting built. Nothing like that. It's just they've just destroyed these roads and redone them. And I think, well, what's going on there? Maybe we're going to be a 15-minute city, and they're going to put roadblocks there. I don't know.
Well, I think that's possible. I mean, that you recall that Alan would talk about that from time to time, and you can see it when you're driving, especially on any big interstate, that they have got lots of places so that they can completely barricade the off-ramp. You're stuck.
Yeah, most of the ones in the UK are like that.
Yeah.
And they built barriers for miles and miles and miles and miles.
Yeah.
You can't get off the road.
No, those are all over Canada, too. I mean, on the main freeways, and that's a very good reason for rebuilding something where there are no factories. It's just
Well, again, the UK, people in the US, I think, in Canada. I don't know what it's like in Canada. Maybe it's similar to UK, but literally on the highways and even minor roads, there are cameras every 100, 200 yards. Mm-hmm. Literally every single, every other light post has got a camera on it.
Yeah.
And everywhere you go through the cities, everywhere. Cameras. And the thing is, we hear politicians or police officers or something saying, "Oh no, you're not allowed to film me here. You're not allowed to film me here. I don't give you permission." I say, well, and I've had this out with the Masons actually, because the second largest Masonic lodge in the world is right opposite the Irish Parliament, with a tunnel between the two, believe it or not. And the Masons turned up there one day, and we were at a protest there, and we were waving €5 notes at them and saying, "Here, take our money now. Just cut out the middleman. Here, take it." And they were saying, don't film us. We don't consent to being filmed. I said, you've got cameras all over your building filming me. I don't consent to that either, but I don't have a choice, do I?
That's right. Yeah.
So, just another little anecdotal story. I like opportunities. If I see an opportunity to do something, I'm going to do it.
Well, good.
Without getting myself in trouble.
Good. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I hope that's not coming through on the recording. That's the first I've heard it, but so far, so good. I guess we can wrap it up here, and then I'll plug in some music. You'll send me some stuff, and we shall make a date to do another recording very soon.
No problem.
But before I sign off, if there is some, other burning thing that you wanted to get out there.
Oh no, I'll think of it when I hang up.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
That's the way it goes with Alan. Like the first broadcast I said, like on Awake Radio, I was really nervous because Alan was so knowledgeable, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to make a fool of myself here. And I think after the first 30 seconds, he spoke for most of the show. I thought that was easy. Wow, I didn't have to say a word. But I got a little bit more confident. I started asking questions after that. But I do remember one show. I can't remember what the topic was. But I never usually prepared much. I just thought, okay, we'll come up with a subject and it'll just go where it goes, kind of thing. But this one, I'd written down a few questions because I wasn't sure the answer was going to be. And within 10 minutes, he'd answered every single one of them. And I said to Alan, we'll go to a piece of music now. And we spoke off air, and I said, Alan, just answers every question I had for the next hour and 50 minutes. What are we going to do now? And we just winged it. That's the way it was. Well,
your talks with him were always popular and entertaining and enjoyable, and you always held your own.
I like to think we put some humour in it.
Yep,
because
you did.
You've got to.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been for Alan's talks, listen to Alan's talks, I would never have been on the radio. I would never have even thought of doing it. And I thought, yeah, I mean, this is kind of a bit arrogant, I suppose. I think that guy's just reading articles. I can do that, But I thought, well, no, I can't, because he's got way more knowledge than me.
Yeah.
And but I can read the articles. I can just put my opinion in. That's all it's going to be, in my opinion, backed up with a little knowledge. And what I will say, I listened to your other talks with. You've done 6 now.
7 actually. I posted the 7.
So I've done another one. Okay. So I'd listened to them, and I thought, people talked about downloading Alan's talks and listen to them over and over again, week by week, and I did the same. But what I also did was I took a note of every book he mentioned, and I went out and tried and bought them all. I've got a lot of the ones he mentioned, and a lot of them I couldn't get. Unfortunately, they're still in my dad's loft in Devon as well. So, but yeah, that's what I did. I went out and bought every single book I could find, because it's not that I didn't believe what he was saying, but he always said, go check it for yourself. It's in their own words. Here's the book. So I said, right, I'll go and buy it.
And I just mentioned that the other day too. Alan always said, do your own homework and do your own reading and everything. And I think that he knew that people needed to be armed with more than, well, Alan Watt says. You need to go right to the source material and be able to say who said it when and what context. And I mean, and that being said, you and I know that facts don't matter. When people are not ready to hear truth, it doesn't matter what you hit them with. They don't want to know it. But at least you know.
Yeah. But the thing with the books was it clarified what he was saying, because you read the whole book, right? You didn't just get the book and it was on page so-and-so and so-and-so, you read the quote, but you already heard the quote. You read the whole book and the whole context of that book, and that quote was in there, but it related to the rest of the book as well. Yeah, and you learned and learned and learned as you went. And I used to devour those books. And some of them, like you said, H.G. Wells, most boring writer you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
And And you plough through it, and you go, aha, there's a gem.
That's
there it
it.
is.
Yeah.
I'll probably think of something else as soon as, but,
Well, I'm
much.
hitting stop. This has been a lot of fun for me, and I'm looking forward to adding in some music and some photos and putting this out there, and then talking to you soon. You said you're going to get your setup going, and we'll do
hopefully. We've been kind of donated a second-hand laptop, which I've put the broadcaster on, so hopefully we can get it working again. I don't know why we were having so many technical problems. It seemed to be week after week, and it was never the same thing. Mm-hmm. You'd have it set up one week to work, and it worked perfectly fine, and you go to do it again, and there's something else wrong now. Every single week there was something else.
Well, I just as a piece of encouragement here, a bit of encouragement, Alan used to say often, if you're going to do the right thing, everything is going to go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, it's just a given.
That's been the story of my life, I think.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me in this conversation.
Pleasure.
I've had a great time, and I will look forward to talking to you soon.
We shall do it again. Okay.
All right.
Thanks for having me on.
All right.
Cheers. Take care.
All right. You too.
I've got something that the world didn't give me, and the world cannot take it away. And I've got something that the world didn't give me, and the world cannot take it away. Well, it is love, sweet love, oh, sent to me from my Father up above. It is love, sweet love.